Hello, and welcome to episode 158 of Design Curious Podcast. I'm your host and mentor, Rebecca Ward. Today on the podcast, we have an interview with Marcy Sagel. Let me tell you a little bit about her. Marcy is the founder and principal of MSA Interiors, a leading commercial interior design firm specializing in multifamily housing, student housing, senior living, affordable housing, and other complex commercial projects. With over 25 years of industry experience, Marcy has established herself as a trusted expert in creating innovative, functional, and aesthetically compelling spaces that align with her clients' strategic goals. Her expertise extends beyond design to include advisory roles for major manufacturers, helping shape product lines that cater to evolving market demands. A sought-after thought leader, Marcy shares her insights through speaking engagements and collaborations, highlighting her ability to bridge creativity with business acumen. As a creative member of the Entrepreneurial organization Baltimore, Marcy embodies entrepreneurial leadership and innovation. Her commitment to excellence, coupled with her passion for design, has earned her a reputation as a trailblazer in the commercial interiors industry. I know we don't get a lot of commercial designers on the podcast, so it was a great conversation with Marcy, and I think you're going to like it as well. So let's get into it. You're now listening to Design Curious, a place where you, creative one, are here to learn about what it really is like to be an interior designer. And I'm your host and mentor, Rebecca Ward. If you're worried about how to succeed in a creative career, if you're ready to learn your next steps to become an interior designer, and if you want the satisfaction of doing something you love every day, you are in the right place. Grab a coffee, a notebook, and let's dig into today's episode. Hi, Marcy. Welcome to Design Curious Podcast. It's great to have you here today.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. I'm excited to be here and talk about what I love the most, design.
Me too. I feel like you have a fresh story that we haven't heard a lot of lately. So I would love to hear how you got into interior design, your whole path getting in there. And I know that you are commercial, multifamily designers. So let's hear about it.
Sure. So I have always had a love of design since I was a little girl. My mother would have different designers come and work on our home. And I got very involved in the process at a very young age. I'm the only daughter. And my mother continued to include me in those processes. And I grew a passion from a very young age.
Oh, that's nice of her to include you.
And I, of course, went to school and I studied design and also graphics, because I think that the two are very combined when you're thinking about holistically a whole space. And I studied both and was fortunate enough to have the ability to intern for a number of different companies. From there, I kind of moved through the process of being a designer and started out doing residential because I always had a love of residential. But ultimately, I decided that I wanted to be in commercial. And it's very, very hard for designers to make the transition from residential to commercial.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about a little bit.
Yeah, let's get into that.
Again, I still love doing residential and still work on some very large scale projects, but I have found a passion of doing commercial design that we feel has a much more residential feel towards it.
Mm.
When we work on the multifamily projects around the country that we work on, we give it that sort of more residential home feel. So each space in a very high-end apartment building might have those beautiful TV lounges, great kitchens, fun, different types of amenities. And all of that is the same thing that you see in residential. It's just been moved to a commercial level on a much larger scale. And we use more commercial finishes.
Mm.
The differences in the fabrics and in the finishes on the walls and just the fire rated things and different things that we do on a commercial level.
Do you feel limited at all by commercial materials, or is there a lot there now?
Did when I started originally. They felt like everything was healthcare and bad vinyls. And now just about every top fabric company is making commercially rated fabric. Even look at just the residential performance fabrics.
Yeah.
We didn't have that. And you can use performance fabrics in commercial jobs as long as they're rated with the right ratings. We have been incredibly fortunate to be in this time where we have so many different types of commercial fabrics that are at our fingertips and commercial wallpaper. Just about any wallpaper company on the higher level residentially will also make it for you commercially. So they'll put it on a vinyl. So if it's on a paper, a lot of them will still put it on a vinyl, and you can use that same look for a commercial space. So it's, again, finding the materials that feel right, feel super elegant, feel super high end. Like when you go into a hotel, we do hotels as well. When you go into a hotel, it has that sort of residential flavor to it.
Yeah.
People are hanging out in the lobby. They're enjoying the different spaces throughout the hotel. Each one has its own flavor, its own sort of audience that it's trying to attract. And that's pretty much what we do on a commercial level.
Okay. So how long have you been doing commercial projects like these?
Well, I've had my own company where we have an incredible team of people for 21 years. And probably have been doing this for over 30 years, and just never gets old. I feel invigorated with it all the time. And we try to do the same thing for our team. New materials make it really exciting all the time.
Yeah.
And new furniture and new fixtures and all the things that come with it.
Yeah. How did you get your business started in the first place? I'm sure you're working for someone else initially.
I was working for someone else, and then I was asked by someone that I had known for a very long time, since maybe in ninth grade, who had a very large project, and asked if I could work on his project. And I said, well, I'm currently full-time working somewhere else. And he said, I am not comfortable with the work that's being done on my house. And it was a very large house, very large, on the water. And he said, I really would like you to come and work on this, even if you have to do it in the evenings and weekends, because I know you're going to know what I want. I agreed to do it, and it was a great project. Very first one under my roof was featured on a top publication, cover, inside spreads.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a big deal. And so I thought, okay, well, this is sort of giving me a message here. I think I need to have my own company.
Mm-hmm.
And I come from a family of entrepreneurs, so I wasn't afraid of it.
Mm-hmm.
Also very good with numbers and very good at business development. And I thought, I can do this. So I put a plan together for myself, and I started. And I would say definitely through the School of Hard Knocks, I learned how to run a company. And obviously, I always tell everyone, learn QuickBooks, learn accounting. You need to know your numbers if you have your own firm. You need to know how numbers work. I didn't know any of that at the beginning. You know, we have freight cost, we have tariffs, we have shipping, receiving, installation costs. We have a million different costs that get added on to jobs. And I don't think a lot of new people understand how that can increase the cost to the end user significantly. Mm-hmm. And so all of those things need to be looked at. You need to know what those percentages are off the top of your head, and should be able to plug them into a job instantly as you're putting the numbers together.
Yeah, that's a good point, because even if you hire a bookkeeper or an accountant in your business, you still have to be able to interpret the numbers, understand your margins. You still are the CEO. And so you have to make all the hard decisions and make sure your business is profitable. The other people are there to keep you on track, but you can't get away from the numbers, right?
No, you need to know what your margins are. You need to know what your profits are, your margins are. You need to know where you stand amongst other firms in the country and what those percentages might look like. It's really just basically learning how to interpret things and understand and ask the questions. And the first thing I would tell people is, please get a mentor or a coach, or come to someone that's been in the business for a really long time, like yourself, and let somebody help guide you through the process. Because had I had a coach or a mentor back then, I wouldn't have made a lot of the mistakes that I'd made and learned and still succeeded, obviously. But I try to explain that just having another person that can help guide you through some of the processes of what is expected and where some of the pitfalls may come and where you may get yourself into trouble with a contract, knowing and figuring out how to review any of those contracts and making sure that they're ironclad and buttoned up and that you have everything spelled out for the client. And this goes for residential or commercial. Everything is spelled out in scope of services in a contract. And we put pictures in with all of our furniture and all of our fabrics so that there's no questions that that's what you picked. We make it really clear, and then we make the client sign off on it. And we have a whole process that we do internally. And we have just spent all these years buttoning up all the processes and making them ironclad. But when people are starting out, they don't know what a lot of those pitfalls are and places you can get yourself into trouble, what you might legally be responsible for, and how to make those problems be less. And so for me, I finally joined an entrepreneur group.
Nice.
After being in business for a long time, and it was a turning point for me. Allowed me to have other people that were doing the same thing. And we all similarly have the same types of problems when you're running a business and you have employees and you have payroll and you have, you're giving health insurance. We give profit sharing as well. All of those things that you have, how to document things within your firm and your employees, and basically running a different type of a business than just being a designer. Being in an entrepreneur group really helped me to understand, I'm in a forum with 6 different people, each one of us in a very different business, but we all have the same needs and the same processes. One of the guys in my group, he has 4,000 employees, and he is a mission and culture expert. He is fantastic about growing your culture and growing your team. I have another person who is just amazing at developing business. He's about growing relationships with clients, and that's how we've grown our business. We're very relationship based. We create these very long-term relationships with our clients so that we can continue to develop more work over the course of time, and other people that work there refer you. And it's just always the constant, ongoing growing process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's really critical, is to have peers around you that can elevate your business, and they have to be in the same industry.
That's what I try to explain to people. Yes, it's very important to have a designer that can mentor you, or to have a coach like yourself to talk to people about what they're doing wrong and how they can correct it, and different paths of going down, growing their company. But other entrepreneurs, anyone else that you may know, can offer all kinds of added expertise. I read all the time on books on profitability and books on growth and team orientation and different things to grow that. Originally we worked in CAD, and now my whole entire company works in Revit. And so everything that we do is in Revit. And the reason that it changed from all CAD to all Revit is because we work with very large architectural firms, and they moved from CAD to Revit. So we had to move from CAD to Revit. So I had to invest a lot of money into Revit, into training for Revit, all of the different years of Revit, because different architecture firms are working in different years, and you have to work in the same year. So we wanted to make sure we were current with everything, and actually not only current, but even further ahead. And so everyone that walks in here has learned Revit, even if they're coming right out of school.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to work in it 100% in our company, because that's typically what we're working in now. Mm-hmm. And when you're working in Revit, there are other add-ons that you can work in, like Enscape. And we work in Enscape all the time so that we can render jobs in-house for our clients, because it helps the designers to really see how each element of the design is coming together in one space. And you can really start to make some on-the-spot decisions when you can see that come together. That's been a very big change in our industry as well.
So you think that if someone who is interested in going commercial design, they should definitely look at Revit as their method of
100%,
crafting?
Because it is an ability to see things in a 3-dimensional capacity. It's very different than CAD, but it has a very superb element into it that allows you to see it as it's becoming a space. And so when we take a Revit file from an architecture firm and then we have to space plan it, we can do amazing things and give them lots and lots of options on space planning. But then we can actually kind of take a few of them and really see what they're going to look like rather than just a flat design. It really does help us to see the whole space as a three-dimensional space. And that's been the biggest change. Commercially, all firms are using it. All of the bigger firms, anyone working with larger architectural groups are using it. It's not to say that we don't get CAD projects, but we used to have 100% CAD projects. And I'd say we might have 1 or 2% now, if even that. And most of those are renovations.
Okay.
Nothing new in our industry is being done in CAD anymore. It's being done in Revit. So I always tell designers, always learn the tools of the trade or as many different softwares as you can possibly handle. Rendering softwares are really important. It's also important to know Photoshop so that you can work with that when you're doing inspirations and layout. You can cut and paste things. It's the way it is for residential and commercial. And we spend a lot of time. Our inspiration and space planning is pretty spectacular for clients. I do help mentor a lot of people in learning how they can present their ideas better to a client and more accurately. So I think it's really important for people to know how to use some of that software.
For sure. So you have developed a training program for Revit, right?
Yeah, I
Talk about that.
Basically what we're going to be rolling out. Hopefully this will start to roll out in the next few months. It'll be called Designer Bank. Basically, it will be learning modules for people to go online for a very small amount of money and take the beginner, intermediate, and advanced course for 30 minutes each that will allow them to learn tools to utilize as a designer. It's very simple, and Revit's very complex. No one is ever going to know Revit 100% because there's different aspects of Revit. So the ultimate tool is to be able to utilize it as a designer and to utilize it to grow what you're presenting to either residential or commercial designer. And so the tools that we're going to offer are going to be all kinds of different modules. We're going to start out with rendering. Those will be the first ones that we roll out. And then we're going to roll out with just tips and tricks for the trade. So all kinds of tips and tricks. So we have almost 37 modules that we're going to be rolling out over the course of the next, hopefully 6 months. And those modules are all teaching and training tools for designers. I brought someone in as an intern. They asked if they could intern here. And I'm always kind of hesitant about interns right out of school because each school prepares people differently. Even with the masters, people are not coming out in the world knowing exactly what they need tool-wise. So I took a look at her portfolio. I thought it was good. My first question, and she went to the University of Wisconsin, and I said, "Do you know Revit?" And she said, "Yes, as a matter of fact, we learned it in school." And I said, "Great, because that's what we work in here." And so she came in and she was very efficient enough in Revit. And then we gave her some other tools here in our office. We trained so many people in. Most people have not been able to work on a job from start to finish, every aspect of a job. And in our company, we like everyone to know every aspect of a job because that's where you can see where mistakes could be made, what the production looks like, and overseeing the production and that kind of thing. So basically what we do is we took her, and the first 2 weeks I said, I want you to learn Enscape so that you can hone in on your rendering skills. It will really help you to sort of evolve your projects. After 3 months, we thought she was so fantastic, we offered her a full-time job.
Wow.
She's been great add-on to the team, and everyone loves having her here, and she's doing a fantastic job learning about all of the material selections. And that's another thing. We'll be doing some modules on material selections, how those change over time and what materials are good for what and how to select them. Everything from Schluter and how you utilize Schluter and different things that are sort of what we call tricks of the trade,
Yeah.
things that you need to know to be a really good designer so that the finished space, either residentially or commercially, comes out looking the way you want it to look and that it feels very fluid and refined. I have worked with a lot of manufacturers over the course of the last 21 years to help them create product lines. I worked on some of the original first LVT vinyl planks or vinyl flooring lines or multifamily apartments. They wanted to know what colors worked for the apartments in different parts of the country. And so I worked with them to make them much more realistic because the first ones out looked very plasticky and not real. And we're like, no, they need to look more like their actual floor, not just a vinyl plank. They need to look like they're actually wood flooring. We spent a lot of time with a lot of different manufacturers working on those lines. The same with tile. I worked on many different tile with manufacturers and with distributors to help them create lines in certain price points for multifamily so that we could get that high-end look for not a lot of money.
Yeah.
And the same thing with plumbing manufacturers. So worked with probably 3 or 4 different plumbing manufacturers to create things that were streamlined and more modern and less chunky and just sort of more simplistic and refined.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's really great because you could definitely steer where the trends were lacking, because we talked about how originally you getting into the commercial space, there's a more limited material options. So this, I'm sure you definitely had a hand in developing that further.
I think working with a lot of different residential companies and watching them roll out their commercial lines and some that are both, because people residentially want much more sturdier fabrics. They want to know that they're not going to be able to, stain. They may want to put a white linen or a beautiful, lovely tweed that's lighter in color on their couch or chair, and they want to know that it's not going to stain. Those were things that people were asking for over and over again. And so it really was great to already know what manufacturers were doing those initially. And now we have so many of the resident fabric companies doing it.
So talking about going from residential to commercial design, there is a difference, I feel, between the clients that you're working, like how you work with the clients, right? So with single family residential, you're one-on-one with the homeowners, usually a couple or something like that, and you're getting into kind of the psychology of the couple working together and what they want to see. How does that shift when you get into multifamily or commercial spaces?
Great question. So there is a psychology behind it. We look at it internally as, you never present anything you don't like because ultimately it will be selected. So when we present, we give quite a few options. I would say a minimum of 3 in each area. Full options. Everything from wall finishes to tile to light fixtures. We give a lot of options. What we do is we say it's like a team, just like it would be with a homeowner. We're working with you to develop your space that you own. So we're working with developers to develop a space that they own, and they may own it for a very, very long time. It may be a REIT, it may be a family hold, it may be a generational development team that has had apartments for 50 years and then they keep building them. We have lots and lots of clients like that. So whatever we pick needs to have a long shelf life, because in the multifamily world, no one wants to spend the money in 3 to 5 years to change everything that you've just put in there. Changing fabric and pillows, that's easy. Accessories, that's easy. Artwork, that's easy. But when you start to get into tile and flooring and countertops and cabinetry and millwork, then it starts to get quite expensive for renovating and giving it a facelift. And we do facelifts a lot for a lot of different management companies and a lot of different development companies. We give them a fresh renovation. They'll tell us what their budget is, and then we will work within that budget or say, this is what we can do in that budget for this amount of money. And we give them a number way up front, including for the furniture and everything. We give them a number to work with, and then they go and get that from the owner of the particular building, if it's a management company. And then we know this is how much we have to spend. And if we go over, then we may have to push it into a phase 2. But it's the same thing literally as residential. We're presenting it to a team of people who are going to own it for a very, very long time. And so we want their buy-in. We want them to understand the whole concept of why we're designing what we're designing, but we keep them in mind. What I mean by that is the market audience is the most important thing that we're going to be looking at. So if we look at a building and it's got 10 competitors, we would initially, on our end as designers, look at all of the competitors' amenity spaces and all of their units, and we kind of do a comparison. This one might be super modern. This one might be mid-century modern. This one might be sort of like eclectic. We'll put pictures together and we'll put a comparison together in our presentation to show the client. Mm-hmm. Because we don't want to copy what one of your competitors has. We want to be better than what they have. So we'll look at, is the audience that will be renting in this space between 30 and 45, or is it going to be between 55 and 70? Let's say, I'm just throwing those ages out. Based on what those numbers are, we're going to change the look of what we're doing. That's sort of the most important thing, but we have to make that decision as a group. And it's the same thing as with an individual homeowner or a family.
So even though there's probably more people involved, like a board of directors.
Not only do we have the owners in that meeting, we also have whatever management group they've hired to lease the property on. For instance, it could be Greystar, which is one of the largest nationally. They have very distinct list of what they want in different types of properties. So we always ask them for that list up front before we start. And we've worked with many of the big management companies around the country. And then we work off of what their list is. So it's a whole team of people and it's pleasing everyone. And it's definitely different than residential, but the same outcome.
So if you present 3 options on everything, how do you get a consensus? Do you narrow it down to one final,
we do,
project moving forward?
It works really, really well. So we basically do this giant presentation, do it virtually, and we basically walk through it with the whole team of people. What we do initially is we create inspirations for every area, and we do space planning, lots and lots and lots of space planning options. And so everybody decides what looks they like in the inspiration as a team, okay? That's the direction that we end up going in. And then they pick and choose sometimes combinations of the space planning that we do. We give little, if we did a fireplace, then we put some inspirations in of the fireplace so they can kind of get a direction of where they want to go. If there's stairs, we might have some stair railings and types of stairs that we put in the presentation so they can also pick the look that they want. It's really interesting as they all come together in a group, everyone gets an agreement and you get the buy-in, which is what I love. And everybody feels like they participated in building and planning the project. So it is a very exciting concept. And the way that we get to it is by everybody agreeing. And it's fun. And we've gotten the process down quite good after all of this time.
Yeah, I'm sure. You must be good at navigating all those personalities and getting them to have a consensus.
Yeah, and the whole staff here, everybody on the team is really fantastic at presenting and really showcasing what they're trying to sell, which is what we're doing, and coming up with everyone on the same page.
Nice.
It's remarkable, and it's been a great process to learn and watch everybody grow in their presenting.
Yeah.
The presentation skills grow over the course of time. You get very comfortable, start to talk about things very comfortably, and it shows. And so I think when we have newer people, we might have them present like a small portion. And then the senior person on the team would present the overall larger scale stuff.
Yeah.
Especially the space planning. So it's fun. It's fun to watch.
Nice. How big is your team? How many people?
We have 14 people. We're actually in the process of hiring between 2 and 3 more at the moment. Yeah.
Great.
And majority of people are designers. We do have purchasing full time, and then we're hiring another purchasing. We don't really have project managers. Mary Beth and I tend to do that, but we are going to be looking at hiring and training some project managers going forward. We have lots of senior designers, mid-level designers, and then, of course, junior designers.
Okay. And is multifamily affected like single family is for the economy and like trying up and down and all that stuff too?
So during 08-11,
Yeah.
I was in one segment of multifamily as a business owner, and it literally crushed me. I was fortunate, and I swore that I would have 5 more revenue streams so that no other economy crash would harm us. We went way beyond 5. So we do senior living, we do hospitals, we do stadiums, we do student housing, we do affordable housing, and we grew every single one of these arms of our business so that we would not be affected in a dramatic way if the economy and the interest rates and everything else were sort of going crazy, which we just experienced and are still experiencing with furniture and tariffs and that kind of thing.
Okay, that was smart, but that's a lot also to have your team be like, do you have people who specialize in like one in senior living? And
We do.
That's a lot to know.
And hospitals, healthcare, those are very specific industries. So I do have people that just do that. And then everyone else pretty much focuses on all of the other projects. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Very smart. Okay, great. Well, gosh, this has been so good. And I know people are going to want to reach out to find those trainings. Where can they find you?
We're at msainteriors.com. And we will, on our website, be letting everyone know when we're launching Designer Bank. And it's going to get a big social media launch. As soon as we get them completed, we're going to go ahead and get the first ones out and let different people try it. And if you are a designer that wants to try beta testing and working on some of our modules, just feel free to shoot me an email, and I'm happy to do that. So we'll let you try it and see what your thoughts are and get some feedback from you.
Great. Thanks, Marcy.
Thank you.
It's been wonderful to talk to you. Let's stay in touch.
I would love that. Thank you again. I appreciate it.
So go ahead and check out Marcy's information in the show notes if you'd like to contact her about anything that she said today. I thought it was just a great conversation. And also, while you're in the show notes, check out the other links that we have for you. There's so many great things, downloads, and information about My Design Mentor, which is my online mentorship platform. So go check that out. Next week, we'll have another great episode for you. And until then, stay creative. Thanks for listening. If you love this episode, please leave a rating and a review. This helps me reach other curious creatives like you. If you have a topic request or would like to contact me, simply head over to my website, rwarddesign.com, or email me at podcast@rwarddesign.com.